today is Wednesday, August 10th, and we're talking with George Weber. And George, thanks for letting us come over. And would you mind telling us when you were born?
Born in September the 5th, 1926.
Thank you. And where were you born?
Right here in Bridgeton.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, can you kind of define exactly where that was?
Lindbergh and Old St. Charles, approximately, right in there, almost on the southwest end of where Northwest Plaza is now.
Oh, when you were, and how long did you live there?
I lived there till 1965, when I had this house moved here from over there.
The house we are in presently, you had it moved?
I did.
Wow. And
Yeah.
can you give us a little description of the house for the people that can't see the whole thing as to how big the house is?
Well, it's about 1,200 square feet, and everything was moved but the garage. It wasn't moved. But they didn't bother a thing. Moved it about, I guess, 3 blocks.
I see there's a staircase. Is there an upstairs?
There is.
So this is a 2-story home?
Right. Mm-hmm.
And you had the house moved. Why did it have to be moved? Let me ask you.
Northwest Plaza was going in there, and it would be torn down if it wasn't moved.
Did the
George, did you say it was built originally in 1926?
No, I was born in
Oh, okay.
1926.
When was the house built originally?
The house was built in the 50s.
Oh, in the 50s.
Yes,
Okay.
early 50s. And I had built a lot of the house, a lot of the carpenter work I did. Some I had help, but I knew how it was built, and it was built real good. So that's why I wanted to move it.
Well, did the developer pay to have it moved?
No, it cost me to have it moved, like $3,000 to have it moved over here.
Were you compensated for the property?
Yeah, my mother sold. I think we had 5 or 6 acres there. I lived there with my mother yet at that time. So, and she sold it to Northwest Plaza.
Can you take us back to when you were growing up and tell us what you remember it looked like? Now we're talking about where Northwest Plaza is right now. And are you talking about the upper level where there's a cinema in that area?
I used to hunt rabbits in that whole area there when I was a kid. After I come home from school, I'd go down there and hunt rabbits. And well, that's about all I can tell you.
Well, who did the property belong to?
Most of it belonged to the Posts that owned the dairy farm up there, the Post women. And Gilbert Adams ran the dairy for years. And he used to deliver milk to us, and he just had cows and delivered milk, is what he done.
Well, I do tours through the Payne Gentry House, and in the tours I tell people that Erastus Post owned the land, and he donated the land for the Fifi church. So that's who, it was his daughters then that owned that land?
That I can't tell you. I don't
Well, it
know.
sounds like from the information you gave us.
I don't know for sure.
Was their name Ida and,
Ida, that's right. It was Ida and two older
Right.
women. Ida and I don't know but I didn't know them really personally, but I do remember one of them was named Ida.
right, I've seen the name mentioned more than once.
They lived in the old 2-story brick house up there on the top of the hill is where it was at that time. Right across from what used to be the Pattonville High School.
I see, okay. Did you have other neighbors close by? You said how many acres did your mother have?
She had about 5 or 6 acres when we finally sold it, so what was left of it. It belonged to several other people there, but most of it belonged to the dairy farm over there, the Posts. It was a Post they called it the Post Farm, and I don't think these older women's name was Post. I don't know. I don't know what it was, but
Yes. Well, where did you go to school?
went to St. Mary's Grade School over in Bridgeton, and then I went to Pattonville High School after grade school.
And was the Pattonville High School across from?
Straight across from the Post property, right up on the hill there.
Well, that would have been very close to you.
No, it was about, see, I lived on the other end of that, all that 80 or 100 acres or so in there. I lived at Old St. Charles and Fifi, and this was on the Rock Road, and right across from the school, probably a good mile away.
Okay.
I used to walk to school. There were no buses at that time. There was buses, but they wouldn't pick you up for being that close.
I see. I see.
Yeah.
How many students do you remember were like in your graduating class?
How many were in it?
Do you recall about how many?
33.
33.
Yeah, I still got my diploma, graduation diploma.
Are any of them still in this area?
Yeah. In fact, we have a breakfast. We just had one yesterday at Denny's with several of the high school guys. But
Mostly from your own class?
yes. Well,
What
no,
was it?
for any of them that were in the school, but they're getting fewer and fewer.
Yeah.
We lost 2 last year, I think, and I think there was 6 of it there yesterday.
Are these some of these still living in this area?
A few of them. There's a couple of them. One of them lives down around Cuba, and let's see, another one is in Sullivan, but the rest of them are right in this area.
Mm-hmm.
Care to mention any names?
Yeah, well, there was Roland Woodcock.
We talked to
You know
Roland.
Roland?
Back.
Roland was there yesterday.
We did interview him.
Paul Kronsberg, he's the one that's down south. And let's see, Tom Bryant. His dad used to be our mailman years ago.
Really?
They were all from right here from Bridgeton, Pattonville at that time. It
Right.
wasn't Bridgeton, it was. Yeah, Tom was there yesterday. And
What about Kathleen Telsher?
she should have been there, but she wasn't. This is mostly our guys.
I see.
The guys. Kathleen, I went to grade school with Kathleen, and she might be a year older than me. I don't know. I think she's probably 80. Well, I'll be 85 next month,
Okay.
September the 5th.
Okay.
And I think Kathleen is about a year older than me. I may be wrong, I don't know, but right at that.
And when you were growing up and went to school, did you work part-time job or did you?
I did. I worked after high school. I worked for Ori Thompson down at the garage, down at 80 Road and Rock Road. Done mechanic work for him after school, after 3:30 or so, 3 o'clock.
How did you learn that?
Just on my own. I like to do any kind of mechanical work, anything with a motor. I like to play with motors, restore some old cars and so forth. And, just like to do mechanical work.
Did you work though while you were in school? While you were in high school, did you work part-time or maybe during the summer, did you?
Later on, when I was almost senior and junior and senior, yeah, I worked in Pine Lawn Hardware on the weekends, on Saturdays only. Worked full-time over there from 8 in the morning till 9 at night.
Wow. How did you get to Pine Lawn?
Yeah, that seems like a long way.
How did I
from
get
here.
there? I had a Model A Ford.
Oh,
And
Just
Was
drove
it-
down Natural Bridge.
yeah, during the war when gasoline was rationed, we had white gas over at this hardware store. I used to put white gas in it, stove gas. It wasn't rationed. You could get it. Of course, it was considerably higher than regular gasoline, but it didn't matter, you know. When I say considerably higher, maybe twice as high as regular gas, but I used to run the old Model A on white gas.
Was it your car? Did
Yeah.
you purchase your car?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Was it used when you got it?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I've bought several old cars for $15 and $20.
Wow.
And Hood's junkyard was down on the Rock Road right across from Mary Ridge, down in the hole.
Mhm.
If you had one that was junk or whatever, you push it over the hill, they give you $3 for it. And at that time, you could buy one license, put it on any car you wanted to drive, nobody bothered you. Didn't need no insurance on it or anything like that, so. Yeah.
Well, what did you do then? After you graduated high school, you said you worked for Pine Lawn Hardware?
While I was going to school, that's my, somebody pulling in out there, can you see, Judy?
There's a white truck that's,
Yeah, that's,
but I thought that was there when we pulled up, wasn't it?
I thought so.
I
Yeah,
don't,
think it
oh,
was
my
there.
truck, yeah, that's my truck, I guess. But that's usually my,
Signal?
yeah, I got a driveway alarm there.
Oh.
I got one there and one in the back. I think that
Wow.
might have been the back one because there's probably a deer back there. Deer
Oh.
come up and
Oh my,
eat
you're,
corn out of the feeder there.
oh,
But I joined the service while I was still in high school, and as soon as I graduated in like May or June, I went right into service in
now what branch was it?
1944. Air Force,
Okay, and
Yeah.
this was what year?
44.
44.
Now, I was only in there a year and a half. The war ended in 45, so they didn't need any more pilots at that time, which I was training for. And so they give me the choice of getting out or staying in and going through with it. Well, all my buddies were getting out, so I got out too.
Where
How-
were you?
How
Where
far
did-
did you get through pilot training?
Not too far, Joe. Just enough to. I went to basic training in Keesler Field, Mississippi.
Mhm.
Then I went to Minard Field in Bakersfield, California, and got started out there, but not too much. But since then, when I got out of the service, I got the my pilot's license in.
You did?
And in fact, just 2 months ago, I got my medical approved, and I took an airplane ride 2 months ago.
Really?
Yeah.
You have instrument rating?
No instrument, just a
Visual.
single engine land.
Uh-huh.
That's
Well,
it.
were you, how long did it take you then to finish up getting your pilot's license, or?
Oh, not long. You need 40 hours of instructions. 20 of that has to be solo, and the other 20 is with an instructor. And a lot of guys don't get it at that, but when my 40 hours was up, I was ready to go by myself. Now, then I stayed with that for several years, just what you could afford. At that time, I could rent an airplane out at Lambert for $15 an hour. Right now, they want for a Cessna 172, $120 an hour for the same airplane. Probably the same age too, but for the simple reason that gasoline, F-gas, at that time was probably 50 cents a gallon when regular gas was 25, and now it's $5 a gallon, so that's what makes the difference. And a Cherokee 180 will use 9 or 10 gallon an hour, so
Wow.
you can see why.
Did you ever fly out of or into any of the other little airfields?
Oh yeah,
around
all the time into
here? Graz, maybe? Or-
St. Charles Airport and Kratzfield and
That's actually in St. Louis County, right?
right, no, well, St. Charles County, and the other one, Spirit, down here, and Creve Coeur Airport is where I flew out of a couple of months ago.
Uh-huh.
When we get off of this video, I'll show you a picture of the airplane I flew. I got it,
Okay.
got a picture in the other room there. So
Well, so you decided not to stay in the military, and the war was over in 1945.
right.
And what did you do then?
Uh, I went to work for E.R. Goddard as a mechanic for about 10 years. From after I got out of the service, I went back to the hardware store for about a year or two. And after that, I went to work for E.R. Goddard as a tune-up man. Worked for them until 1959, from about 45 to 59. And then
The Chrysler dealer?
yeah, used to be right over here on Lindbergh.
Okay.
It's all gone now, right at the top of the hill there, right across from Missouri, where Missouri Bottom Road goes into Lindbergh now. That's where they were, right out west of the airport.
Was that area referred to as Anglem back then?
It was Anglem, yes it was.
Was there a railroad station there at some point?
Yeah, but it
You were
wasn't
talking
much.
about
It
Anglem
was,
Station.
it was, yeah, it was, yeah, there was a station there. It was. And
And that was a level crossing across Lindbergh, or was that the?
Lindbergh went under it. Went under
Okay,
it.
so that was the Wabash tracks.
Right.
Okay.
Oh, I don't know what it was.
The one that still is there that goes
Right,
under.
right. Still the one that's still there.
Mhm.
Yeah. And after in '59, I went into excavating. Went to work for Ray Boston. I worked for him for 10 years till '69. Then I went in business for myself until '84.
What kind of excavating?
Digging basements, subdivision work, digging basements. I had 3 old high lifts and done work for a lot of the big builders around. I had worked for Lieberman Corporation. They're the guys that left the country with our money, you know.
I think I remember something like that.
That was in about 85 or 86, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did anything ever happen with that?
One of them supposedly jumped out of they went to
South America or
South
something?
America. One of them supposedly jumped out of the hotel and killed himself. And the other one came back here. He's back here now. The other one is. Alan is here. Alan and Harold were their names. And I worked out for them for 15 years. Not them totally, but off and on. Done all their work. And I had no problems with them. They were good with me. When May the 1st come around, I'd say, hey, inflation was 3 or 4% this year. I need a little raise. Okay, they'd cry a little bit. They were Jewish guys, but they were fine. I had no problems with them at all.
And you were living here in this location or over there by Northwest Plaza?
I lived here at that time, yes. This was I went to work, well, let's see, I went to work for, Lieberman in about 1970. But I moved here in '65.
Were you in this house by yourself or did someone live with you?
No, I got married in 1965.
Oh, okay.
I was
Well, who
late
is,
getting married. I was 34 years old before I got married.
and who did you marry?
Married Lynn Boley.
And was she from Bridgeton?
No, she was from DeSoto, Missouri. She worked up here, and she was lived around here, but her home was really in DeSoto.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. She had been married before, and I had 4 stepchildren. So they're all old now, you know. They're pretty good age on them.
Mm-hmm. But you two didn't have children together?
No, we didn't.
Now, when you got married, was she working?
Yes, she worked at a small job, like a cleaners. She worked in the cleaners in Ferguson at that
Okay.
time. Yeah.
Did the boys live here with you?
No, nobody ever lived with us. They were, when we married, they were all on their own already.
What about your mother? Was she still living?
She was, yes, she was. But she lived up here on Fifi Road. After we moved off of Lindbergh, I bought the house there, the first house north of Old St. Charles on Fifi on the right, the brick house there. And she lived there. And after I moved to house here, me and my wife moved here and she stayed up there. And she lived till 1970, I think it was, when she died.
Is she buried in the Fifi Church?
She's buried in St. Mary's Cemetery over in, on Fifi Road at just north of Missouri Bottom Road there. I do
that
have
cemetery that seems like it's so far away from the St. Mary's Church has always been in that location?
always been there,
Okay.
Joe. Yeah, I have several people buried in Fifi Cemetery here. I have a grandpa and grandma in there, and several cousins, but none of my family,
I
personal
see.
family.
So you said you were working for the Lieberman brothers doing excavating, and I guess you were all over St. Louis
All
then.
over the county, yes.
Mhm.
And I've done a lot of work for Charlie Deutsch, Marvin Deutsch, too. There was quite a apartment builders, and mostly around Creefcar and that area.
Mhm. And then you started working on your own.
Yeah, well, I was working on my own when I worked for Lieberman. I worked for Ray Boston then in 1969.
Now, who is this A. Boston?
Ray Boston is, he was one of the big excavators around here. That's all I can tell you. He's him, and he had a brother, Bob, was an excavator too.
Is he any
And,
connection to the Boston that was a farmer on the off the old St. Charles?
That was Bob Boston's farm, yes.
Uh-huh.
Boston's farm now is Bob Boston, was the brother to the one I worked for. I worked for Ray.
So there's a place, a subdivision off of Old St. Charles, presently called Boston's Farm.
Right.
And this was related to the man that you worked for.
He was the brother of Ray that I worked for.
And what did he do then, the brother?
He done excavating
Oh,
too. He had
okay.
tractors and, yeah, same
Mhm.
thing.
What, and then so how long would you say then you did this work?
Excavating. Till 1986, I was unloading some logs off of my truck. And I was unloading them by hand. Normally I'd just take a tractor and push them off of there. I didn't have a tractor there at that time. And one of the logs started rolling and I jumped off and the log rolled down and hit me in the back and crushed 2 vertebrae. It actually broke my back, really.
Oh my.
This was in 1986. Then I quit excavating. After that, Alan Lieberman told me, you don't want to do that, sit on a tractor anymore, do you? And I said, not really. And he said, well, he gave me a job as being the superintendent, overseeing their grading and sewer work, to make sure all the dirt was right on the projects, to dig the basements, you know, that, and I worked for them for 2 years until they left the country. That was probably in 87 or 88, I think they left the country.
Mm-hmm.
Then after that, when they left, Jerry Kerr, that worked for them, took over part of their business, and I worked for him for a while. So
What'd you do with your equipment after you more or less gave up?
I still got one of them.
Oh, you do?
Sitting across the road over here, yeah. I still got a high lift. Well, you can't see it, it's down the back, but I got a 955H crawler high lift.
Is it in workable condition?
Oh, yeah, it sure is.
Does anyone ever like rent it from you or
No,
use it?
No, I wouldn't. Insurance would be too expensive for it. Now, as long as it's on my property, it's insured by my homeowners.
Mm-hmm.
And I have taken it up to Bowling Green. I own 80 acres up in Bowling Green, a hunting property. I took it up there and cleared about 6 or 7 acres of food plots for the deer about 4 or 5 years ago. But Other than that, it hasn't been used.
I see.
And then I have a skid steer loader, a bobcat, down here in the back that I use just to haul wood or this and that, something like that.
Well, let's,
When you're in the Bowling Green area, do you ever run into John Banker? He has
Yeah, I've been up to John's place. Yeah, I have. I haven't seen John in a long time, but well, I haven't been down the shop or anything. But yeah, John is. He's about probably 15 miles from me. I'm farther up than he is. I'm the other side of Bowling Green, and he's this side of it. So.
well, let's talk a little bit about the Bankers. You know the family fairly well.
I do.
And how do you know them? Because you were in Bridgeton and they were in Bridgeton, or did you have some kind of other dealings with them?
Ed and I used to always get along with mechanic work. If I had a problem, I'd go to Ed. If Ed had anything on generators or stuff, he'd ask me, you know, what I knew about it. And not that we could always help one another, but I've known Ed and Helen for years, you know, and then all the boys too, since Mark and was down there in the garage with them, Mark, Luke, and John. And then, well, that's how I knew them. I've known them from day one, I guess.
And you say before we started the interview, you were talking about Ed Banker having a filling station?
Right.
And where was his filling station?
Right across from Westlake Park, what used to be Westlake Park, at the corner of Natural Bridge and St. Charles Rock Road. Right there by right next to what used to be the blacksmith shop.
We heard about a blacksmith shop talking with Roy Swantner.
Right.
You know, it's hard for me to visualize right now because we have the highway running through that area, right?
Yeah, it's all gone now, but.
So it's hard to kind of visualize where things were with having the Highway 270. When do you think Highway 270 came through that area?
I don't know the exact year it was. I
Well,
don't
I know
know.
it was finished in '65 because that was when I first came out to Bridgeton to visit Jenny.
I don't know. I couldn't tell you
I
for
think
sure.
it was pretty new then.
Well, what did you think about Northwest Plaza coming in on the area you lived and hunted and hung out as a young boy? What do you think about that? Were you fascinated by this new, development, or did you dislike it?
Oh, I couldn't say that I really liked it, but it was what was going to happen, you know. We had to move because at that time we couldn't afford what they wanted to put the sewers in on the property, on the 5 acres. They wanted like $5,000 or $6,000 an acre just to put the sewers in there. And you almost had to get rid of it, you know. I had to sell it. The Zerenskis were putting that property together for several years, you know, but the whole corner there all the way up to Old St. Charles to St. Charles Rock Road and 80 Road to Lindbergh. But it took them several years to get it all together that they wanted there.
Well, when Northwest Plaza first was built in the late 60s,
1965 is when it was. 64 they
it was
started.
quite a happening. I
Oh, yeah.
remember driving out from Normandy, and
Yeah,
it was quite a happening to see this.
yeah.
Did you enjoy going there and looking around or
Oh, yeah.
shopping?
Yeah, it was all right. It was okay. It was different from what we were used to at that time, you know. But
Right.
yeah.
And presently, what's going on with Northwest Plaza? In 2011, what would you say is going on at Northwest Plaza?
It's dead. There's nothing there now. I think there's one business in there, and that's the training center over there, the exercise deal on the west side, and that's it. I think everything else is shut down. There's few people in the big building, in the office building yet, but not much in there.
Do you foresee into the future that possibly they can make Northwest Plaza alive and well again.
I doubt it. I don't think it ever will be.
It's kind of sad, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Yeah, it's, I don't know. I don't know. I'm surprised that St. Anne's didn't get Walmart to go in there. There was talk about it to start with, you know. 'Cause Walmart was supposed to go where Dillard's is on the north end there. And I don't know.
Well, we know now, presently, that Walmart is going to move from its location across, basically from Northwest Plaza, on St. Charles Rock Road, what used to be Grandpa Pigeon.
Right.
And whether we like it or not,
Yeah.
we're going to have Walmart closer right here in Bridgeton.
Right.
But thinking about Grandpa Pigeon, what do you remember of that store?
I used to spend a lot of time there. You could buy anything, almost anything you wanted there.
And you're talking about the first one, right, at Natural Bridge Junction?
Right, right. Well, even the second one too was okay, you know. But the first one was right there at the corner of old, Rock Road and Natural Bridge. It wasn't a whole lot of a store there. It was, but it was all right.
You mean it wasn't very big?
It wasn't very big. No, it wasn't too awful big. Not
And
that
who-
I remember of it.
Who ran? Do you know who ran it?
No, I don't. I don't really know that.
Mm-hmm. But when they moved to on St. Charles Rock Road, it sure was a big store, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, yeah. Hmm.
What about some of the other businesses that have gone in and maybe out? You know, and do you recall when the Bayou Bell came up?
Not the year, but I do remember it. I sure remember it. Yeah, and the fire burnt it. I think that done it in.
Well, we've had a lot of fires in Bridgeton, haven't we?
We have.
We had the big fire that took Westlake Amusement Park.
Right.
Now, I have no dealings with Westlake Amusement Park. Did you ever go there?
All the time.
What did you enjoy doing there?
Well, it was almost anything you wanted there. When I was a little bit older, they used to have the walkathons there, you know, where you, it was actually all put on deal where they'd supposed to, you go there and give them 15 or 20 cents to watch them dance, you know, and you familiar with the walkathons?
We not personal experience. We heard a little bit about it, but I didn't know it was called walkathon.
Walkathon, that's what it was.
Why?
Yeah.
Why did they call it walkathon?
Well, they were supposed to keep walking and dancing and not sleep at all. You know? That was the
For how long?
theory. As long as they, when somebody dropped out, then they were out of it, and the rest of them, might have been a dozen couples started or so like that. But when one of them couldn't last any longer, they were gone, and then whoever was the last one in there won the prize, which I don't know what it was. It wasn't much, but
Did you ever enter one of these?
no.
But you just saw it.
Just watch them, yeah.
Was it live music that played while they were supposed to be
Yeah,
dancing?
yeah. It was. I don't know if it was live. It was some kind of music, you know.
Or like maybe records?
It wasn't. Yeah, it was records. They wasn't really dancing. They were just moving, you know.
Well, sometimes now that's what they do too.
And they had, yeah, that's right. And they had almost everything else there. The what do you call it? You rode on, you know, up in the air, the scenic deal.
The roller coaster, yeah, they call it
Yeah.
the scenic railway.
Yeah, yeah. They had that there. That was all wood.
Yeah.
And
the fun house was,
had a fun house. They had a swimming pool there and all that stuff.
I think was it Roland Woodcock that we interviewed that worked there at the swimming pool,
I think he was the one who was a lifeguard there.
and he said that people would break bottles or beer bottles, and part of his job was to dive in and clean that out.
I don't know about that. I don't know that I ever did go into the swimming pool.
How
It
about the
was-
fun house? Did you have
Yeah.
any experiences in there?
Yeah, it was quite a deal.
It was quite a sliding board they had in there, wasn't it?
Yeah,
You remember anything specifically about that?
not really, not that much, Joe.
They would give you a big flour sack to sit on.
Yeah, yeah.
So we had a big fire that basically took the Westlake Amusement Center out of business, right?
That's right.
Then I heard that there was a big fire. I heard there was a big fire actually at Northwest Plaza also, before Northwest Plaza was built. Is that correct?
Not that I know of.
Okay.
What would it have been? What building?
During construction or prior to?
I don't know. I thought someone told us about that the volunteer fire department was called in. Do you recall anything about the volunteer fire department here in Bridgeton?
No, not too much about it.
What about Brannicky Hardware? I heard they also had a fire at some point.
They did that, but that was in the 70s. I dug the basement for their new store up there now.
You did?
Yes, I did. And helped them tear down and get rid of some of the old trash that was there, you know, from the old store.
Did the previous store have a basement?
Part of it, yeah, it did.
It wasn't as extensive.
No, it was, yeah, it's hard to remember, you know, it was, I know it, I remember it, but I don't think it had much of a basement, Joe.
And that old store was divided into two sections, is that right? For groceries and
There was groceries in the back and hardware in the middle of it, and the west side of it was the post office. There was a post
Okay.
office in the west side.
So did you have to go up there to get your mail if you lived around here?
They had post office boxes in there. Now, we didn't get our mail there. Our mail was delivered. I think this was like a, I don't know what you would call it, but they had private post office boxes there.
I see.
Our mail was delivered by Tommy Brandt. That's his son that was at our breakfast yesterday. His name is Tom too, but
Well, actually, we were talking a little bit about the gas station that Ed Banker owned, and we were kind of talking a little bit previously about the price of gas that's gone up. Do you recall how much gas cost back in what, 1950s?
like I said, I remember when gas was 10 cents a gallon.
That's
10,
hard.
10
to,
gallon for $1.
That's hard to believe, isn't it?
And people don't believe it when I tell them that, but that's the truth. And it was 2 gallon for a quarter for many years, several years there, around in the early 50s.
Was the gas station such where you could have any services done besides filling up with gas? Did you have to pump your own gas?
You did, yeah. There was very few of them that give you full service. There was one up here on the end of Fifi and Dorset. Roger used to run it. He would clean your windshield and do a little bit of everything for when you pumped the gas in there. But most of them you had to pump your own gas. A lot of them, well, a lot of them would pump gas for you too on the first ones, but it finally got to where you had to pump your own gas.
Well, now, of course, we pump our own gas.
Right, that's right.
And presently, gas is over $3 a gallon. Hopefully it won't.
311 this morning.
Right, I gassed up as well. But I
Yeah.
think it's gone up since then.
Has it?
Yes, I believe it did.
Oh boy.
Yes, yes. Did you, have you taken part in any activities in Bridgeton through the years or currently? Did you ever serve on any of the political commissions or
No.
anything?
Never did. Knew a lot of a lot of the guys that did serve, especially like our councilman in Ward 4 here.
Who is that?
You know, I don't even know who it is now, but I knew Joe Dobrnick and Rich Collier.
Mm-hmm.
See, I built the car wash up here at the corner of Old St. Charles. and Fifi.
Okay,
about 8 years, 9 years ago, something like that. 7,
Across from the Steak and Shake.
Yeah, I built that, and I met with them guys. They were the councilman in our ward here at that time. So, in fact, Rich Collier stopped and talked to me just the other day. He still is local here, lives here. And I know a lot of the police officers, and I go to the community center, and in the workout room quite often.
Good.
Not too regular, but in fact, I probably go up there today yet again.
Well, wow. And you use the machines,
Yeah,
the weight
right,
room, so
right.
forth?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. Joe takes advantage of the indoor pool.
Do you?
Jenny and I both go to the indoor pool.
Indoor pool?
3 days a week.
And I teach yoga at the community center 3 mornings a week.
I used to go up there to the indoor pool, but I haven't been up there in quite some time in the pool.
Very nice.
Oh yeah. Hey, we've got the best community, best city there is. As far as the community center is tops. You can't beat it. Our street department is first class. I don't own a 4-wheel drive truck, and I don't want one, because if we got a foot of snow, by noon I can be out of my drive and up the road. They'll have the road clean enough for me to go with my 2-wheel drive. And I can't say nothing but the best for Bridgeton's community center and street department.
And have you seen the new city hall?
I have.
What'd you think of our new government center?
It's fine, but it's built backwards. The back is the front, should be the front.
Yeah, why did they do that? Do you know?
Well, I think it's so you don't have to look at all the cars when you drive by.
I told the mayor that personally. I
The
said,
new
"Why-"
Maryland Heights building is the same way.
Yeah, right. But he said it's a lot we had to work with. But, you know, originally it was supposed to be planned for McKelvey Road and Old St. Charles, in that area. It would have been ideal there, because it falls off in the back. It would have been a walkout for the back instead of the front, see? The front is the back on this building here. It's a nice building, it's ideal.
Yeah.
Inside is, but it's just backwards, and I don't know if they got enough parking lot there or not for big occasions. Have they, you think, or what?
Well,
Don't know.
Don't look
haven't
very
seen the
big in the
field
back.
yet, but I guess that'll happen.
Do
But it's
you?
nicely designed as far as drainage is concerned. Did
Oh,
you
yeah.
notice how that
Yeah.
is arranged?
Do you recall a city hall before the one even on Natural Bridge?
I think most of it was up there on Fifi Road where the street department is now. That was all the activity there. It wasn't too much
The sea?
there. No, not really. But that's where everything operated out of, where the street department is, across from the fire department there.
I see. Do you recall the mayor, the early mayors of the city?
Yeah, but let's see. Can't even think of a lot of his names. One of them was Davis, and the other one that lived over Old St. Charles and Smiley,
Swan?
Swan, Ed Swan.
Uh-huh.
I remember him real well. He was a good friend of old Lou Bushart. Lived down, or operated a business down on the Rock Road. Yeah, Ed Swan, and the rest of them, you know, I can't think of them right now, but I knew them real well.
Well, when we first came today, Joe is interested in having you identify some pictures, and one involved a store that was just real close to here.
Right.
And can you tell us about that property?
That belonged to the Rock building down there, would belong to Archie Null.
And who was Archie Null?
Well, let's see. I can't say this who he was. Who was he, Joe?
Well, he wasn't from around here. He was from.
He was from south, wasn't
He
he?
was a country boy.
He had quite a bit,
Central Missouri.
several acres of property down in the south
Yeah.
somewheres. 100 some miles.
Crossroads, wherever that is.
I didn't know him before I met him here, you know. And then he opened a grocery store there, and had a meat market and grocery store.
And he ran the store
Right, he did.
with his wife.
And then Ed run it after he did, you know. Ed took it over for a while, and then Ed went into the repair work up on the hill there. Yeah, but Ed run the store there after Archie left it.
Ed Banker.
Ed Banker, yes.
Did his wife help him run the store?
I'm sure she did, yes. I'm sure she did.
Do you remember Kathleen Telscher's hardware store?
I do.
Did you shop there or
Yeah, uh-huh.
buy supplies from there?
It burnt too, you know. Yeah.
We seem to have had a lot of fires in Bridgeton through these years.
Yeah, and the building at McKelvey Road and Natural Bridge just a few years ago,
Oh yeah, the
burnt too,
Tony's
you know, on
restaurant.
the shopping center there.
Oh, okay. Tony's Restaurant that
Tony's,
was
right,
there for
right.
a long time.
Right, that burnt, and there was a barber shop in there, and
Yeah.
I don't know what all, but yeah. I still go to the barber that was in there.
Where is he located?
Here on the Rock Road, right just west of 70 on the Rock Road on the south side of he's in a beauty shop there in the back part of the beauty shop.
You mentioned St. Mary's Church before. When that closed up, did you switch over to St. Lawrence?
No, when it closed, I went to up on doggone it, I can't even think of it. Warson Road. St. Jude
Okay.
on Warson Road, yeah. Much smaller church. It's very small compared to the other ones around.
And it's still in business,
Oh,
probably.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's,
Unlike St. Lawrence.
yeah.
We didn't talk a whole lot about your wife. Has she passed away?
Yes. She passed away in 1996. And she's buried over in St. Mary's Cemetery.
That's right. You did say that.
Right.
Mhm. Do you see her children?
Quite often, one of them lives right across the street.
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
yeah. Her daughter, Joanna, lives right across the street.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Okay. So, does she have children?
Yes. But they're all not around here at all. They're all gone. One, mostly in out west.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, in Arizona, mainly in Phoenix, around Phoenix. She had 4 children.
I see. Did she go to? Well, you said that those children were already older when you got married.
Right, right.
Thinking about Bridgeton as you were growing up, is there anything you'd like to tell us about? Right, around the Northwest Plaza area for those people that aren't familiar with it. Maybe just see it now as kind of an empty series of buildings.
Everything's altogether different now than it used to be 50 or 60 years ago. It's hard to explain the difference in it unless you've seen it before, It's just hard to explain what it was like.
How about when Northwest Plaza was in its heyday, when you could go in and sit down and have a meal in the drugstore?
Oh,
Didn't
yeah.
we talk to somebody who was a waitress in the drugstore? I forget who that was. In the Walgreens.
Yeah, it was altogether different than it is now. Yeah, Walgreens used to be there, right on the west side here.
Mm-hmm.
And they had a real nice restaurant over the bank. The bank's changed hands about 3 different times. Used to be Magna Bank, and then Oh, it was St. Anne's Bank to start with. It was down on the Rock Road, then it moved out here, then it was Magna Bank, and then it was something else after that. I don't know what it was, but that's all gone now.
A lot of the banks have changed. We do have a lot of banks in
Right,
Bridgeton.
Right,
We have a lot of banks. But St. John's Bank is still here.
oh yeah.
And
I deal with St. John's quite a bit, so. There's about a half a dozen down on the Rock Road.
there are.
Between St. John's down there and Highway 270, there's about 6 of them in there,
Yes.
both sides of the road.
Yes. Yes. Well,
They were supposed to build another one at the corner of Natural Bridge and the Rock Road, that vacant lot there, but
Oh, yeah.
nothing's ever happened to it. I guess the economy has kind of stopped things, slowed things down there. So.
hmm
It just looks like a ghost of Grandpa Pigeons there now.
Right, right.
Is there anything else that you remember about growing up in this area that you'd like to share with us?
Not really, Judy, not that I know of offhand. Nothing really.
Well, we thank you for letting us come today. It's
You're
been
welcome.
been a
No
pleasure
problem.
talking to you, and I hope you will enjoy Bridgeton and everything Bridgeton can offer.
Just continue to take advantage of the community center.
Yeah, I'll do that, as long as I can get up there. I ride my motor scooter up there most of the time in this kind of weather.
Oh, nice.
And when the time comes, you can call for a free ride from the Bridgeton
Yeah,
van.
yeah, I can do that. So,
Hmm? Okay. I think we're going to
shut it off.
say goodbye here.
Huh?
Okay?
Okay,
All right. Thank you very much, George.
okay.